You think about traditional forms of advertising because people love to say, well, Kayla, you know, like, I don't want to create the content. I don't want to show up. Well, I don't know what to tell you, because if you are marketing a business online, content has to be created. I mean, you could take out an ad in the newspaper if you want to, but when the last time you read a newspaper? Exactly. So girl, I don't know what to tell you if you don't want to do it. Okay. Content is everywhere and it's everything. There's no way around it. Right. And it has to be the foundation of your business. Hey y'all, and welcome back to another episode of Content for Brunch. I hope that you are starving because per usual, your girl is ready to serve you, okay? Content for Brunch is the meal your marketing plan has been craving. Let's get into it.
What's for brunch? Content, turning profiles into profit. Strategies for baddies, captivating captioning. Hey, Coach Kayla, I'm open to suggestions. How can I turn my content into coin and connections, profit projections? Content is key when you hiring me, and I teach you how to do it, but consistently. Stop satisfying followers you don't even got. Instead, focus on the people who follow you now. When I'm talking, it's cause I know what I'm talking about.
Big
and
facts.
I create the type of content, keep my name in their mouth. They say content is king, but I say it's queen because women are the source of every damn thing. I talk big money, I got the nerve to do such. You're doing too little if you think I'm doing too much. If you don't know what to do and you're feeling too stuck, tune in to every episode.
Let's have content for brunch. Let's have content for brunch. Judy drama, Judy bang, same thing. Let's have content for brunch. Judy drama next up. I'ma be yelling that shit till it's stuck. Content for Brunch, the podcast, now available on all platforms. So as I was unpacking with myself how to approach this topic, I thought back to episode 1, where I talked about how content ain't going nowhere, okay? And immediately I finished that sentence by saying, because content is everywhere and it's everything, okay? I was having an onboarding call with a client, and when I take you through my onboarding process, I ask you a series of very specific questions to get your wheels turning, to really help you brain dump, and for me to understand what the problem really is. Like, I need to get to the root of it, you know? And so the way, a lot of times, you know, you don't know, and it's my job to help you figure that out and solve it. And so I do that by asking a series of questions that really pull it up out of you. And so with this particular client, she said to me, she was like, I just always feel stuck on what to create. It's just so hard. And before she could finish, I said, no, it ain't. I interrupted and was like, no, it's not. No, it's not. Don't you say that again. You know, but it's not hard. At least it doesn't have to be, right? It shouldn't be. And because content is everywhere and everything, that's one of the advantages and one of the things that we should leverage so that it isn't so hard. So when you feel stuck, it's usually because you're not moving. Let me say it again. When you feel stuck, it's usually because you're not moving. The literal definition of stuck is what? Lack of movement. And so I want you to think about that as it relates to your frustration or feeling stuck with how you show up online and how you promote your business. When you feel stuck creating content, I need you to move, right? So often we sit still, and that sitting still causes us to overthink. And as a result, we do a lot of overthinking and a lot of under executing. So when you feel stuck, I need you to move. Now, I have a simple way for you to keep moving consistently and create content, right? And that is simply to document daily. You see, most of us are overthinking content. We assume that it has to be some elaborate production every single time. And I know you're probably like, girl, who are you to talk? You are sitting in front of cameras and lights and it's action. And I get it. But that's not a representation of all of my content, right? It doesn't have to be that way every single time. I want you to focus on creating content. But most importantly, instead of putting the overwhelm and the frustration on creating it, I want you to become the content. So instead of putting so much focus on creating the content, I need you to become the content. So it reminds me of my days as a beauty and style blogger. Listen, I told y'all, your girl has been around the block, okay? I've done a few things. I used to publish a weekly blog under the moniker Model May I. If you know, you know. And so I first started that blog back in 2012. Now, there was no such thing as brand deals. I don't think anyone had coined the term influencer yet. But this was when people were really organically and authentically sharing, right? They were sharing their vacations, their kids, what they ate for lunch, their weight loss journey, whatever it is. People were just blogging about things that were actually happening in their lives and was organic to them, right? It was more so a hobby than it was the highly sought after career that it is today. And so, child, much has changed since then. So much has changed since then. I mean, that was 10 years ago. And so I remember when blogging started to take off, and working with brands became a thing and getting partnerships was like something that everybody wanted to do. I started to make blogger friends and, go into these circles. I was living in New York at the time. So that's Market One, the place to be. And I was realizing that the girls were getting dressed to take pictures. Like they would go buy a bunch of clothes, put them on, shoot in them just to attract the partnerships or the attention of the brand. And meanwhile, I was waking up early in the morning because I was working my 9 to 5. Okay. Shout out to everybody working those 9 to 5s to stay alive. I was working my 9 to 5 and I would get up in the morning to shoot before going to work. I would shoot my outfit of the day post for my blog before going to work. It would be me, my tripod, and a New York City street corner getting it done. Okay. And so I remember thinking, these girls are getting dressed to blog, but I blog because I get dressed. And so the correlation that I'm making here is I was the content. I didn't start blogging because I got dressed. I blogged because I got dressed, right? I was always a girl who was into those things. It was my life. It was a natural part of my lifestyle. And I thought it's so crazy that people were doing the opposite. And so that's the 2012 version of focusing too much on creating the content instead of becoming the content, okay? And I was, still am, and will forever be the content. So I don't want you guys to focus so much on all of these things that are perfect and it having to be the right everything that you're forgetting that there's simplicity in just documenting the process. So this method definitely simplifies it, right? By documenting, you have less overwhelm. You're more regular, you're more consistent because you're simply documenting the things that you already do. You eliminate the overthinking and you actually begin to build a content bank. And when you have a content bank, you always have something to post, right? So there's no more, I don't know what to post or I feel stuck. And so documenting daily is the movement that's going to help you get unstuck, right? Because you have a routine of simply pulling out the camera and capturing what you're doing. Content is everywhere and content is everything. It's all around you. You create it as you live your life daily. You consume it as you live your life daily. And if you are running a business online, it is everything. It is the foundation of your business. It should be at the core of your business, right? So without an online content marketing strategy, how will you reach people? How will people reach you? How will they find you? How in the world will they know that you exist? And so if those questions are kind of running through your head and you're trying to figure out how to simplify the process, start documenting, right? That's going to be the way to have a content bank to reach your audience. When you think about traditional forms of advertising, because people love to say, well, Kayla, I don't want to create the content. I don't want to show up. Well, I don't know what to tell you, because if you are marketing a business online, content has to be created. I mean, you could take out an ad in the newspaper if you want to, but when the last time you read a newspaper? Exactly. So girl, I don't know what to tell you if you don't want to do it. Okay. Content is everywhere and it's everything. There's no way around it. Right. And it has to be the foundation of your business. Now, y'all know This wouldn't be an episode of Content for Brunch if I didn't make a brunch reference. Duh. So I'm from New Orleans, right? And y'all know we loves our gumbo. We loves a lot of things, but gumbo, I think, is probably the one dish that is the most associated with New Orleans. And so if you've ever tried gumbo and you say you don't like it, you lying. I can't trust you. You don't make good decisions. You're probably like some person who's like, low key best friends with Satan. Like, if you said you had gumbo and you ain't like it, you lying. And now I can't trust you, okay? But when you think about what gumbo is, the reason why it's so good is because it's a mixture of all type of goodness, right? So you put your shrimp, Lord Jesus, I'm just thinking about it. You put your shrimp, you put your crab, you put your sausage. Some people put chicken. Like, it's literally a melting pot of whatever you want it to be. But the core factor of a pot of gumbo is the roux, right? And the roux is slow cooked to perfection. You take your time with making the roux. My mama make hers homemade. Some people have other mechanisms. I ain't judging. But the roux is the core of the gumbo. I don't care how much sausage you put. I don't care how many shrimp you put, how many crab legs you add. It is the roux that makes the gumbo good. And so if you don't focus on getting the roux perfect, then you might as well just throw the whole pot of gumbo away. And this is how I need you to think of your content strategy, right? You can add all of the reels, TikToks, blog posts, emails, all of the dances you want to. But if your messaging, your goals, and your target audience isn't aligned and clear, then throw the whole business away. Throw it away. And I also want you guys to understand that content extends far beyond just what you post on social media. Hey, you. Yes. I'm talking to you. I see you over there. I hear you over there taking in all of the strategy that's being served in this episode. Well, guess what? There is more where that came from. Yep. I want you to head on over to getmycontenttogether.com. And this is where you will find more resources and you can become a part of my community. That's getmycontenttogether.com. You need me to repeat it? You missed it? No worries. Getmycontenttogether.com. Don't meet me there. Beat me there. Okay? Now let's get back to the show. Content is on your website. Content is within your email posts, right? Content is in the messaging that you use. And so if at the foundation of your business that isn't tight, throw the whole business away. Now I get it. That is easier said than done sometimes. And so I want to help you and give you a few things that you can do the next time you feel stuck in regards to your content. So the first thing I want you to do is audit your consumption, because content is everywhere. Sometimes we overly consume. You ever just find yourself picking up your phone for no reason? You just done picked it up and you done found yourself in a scroll hole and you were supposed to be paying your credit card bill. It's crazy, right? And so you have to be very mindful of what you consume so that you can weed out the things that are not serving you in this season. So when you start to compare, when you start to overthink, I want you to stop and audit the pages, the blogs, the podcasts, the emails that you are subscribed to. Audit the content that you consume regularly. There we go, scholar. And I need you to hit unsubscribe, okay? The next thing I want you to do is create how you consume. Now, this is one of my favorite things to do because I get in a creative rut too, right? I am no exception. But I love to look at some of the content that I consume that has made an impact, right? So did it make me laugh? Did it make me cry? Did it make me make a purchase? Did I make a buying decision? Did I share it with someone else? Those things make an impact, right? When it encourages you to do some type of action. And so I kind of audit that content when I'm in a rut. And I think of different ways that I can remake it with my own twist, make it my own. I start to brainstorm ways I can create similar content because that was content that filled me up and ultimately made me act. And that's what we want our content to do. Make a person take an action, right? And so then the third thing that I want you to do is implement documentation daily. I want you to get in the habit of picking up your phone and recording, right? It's super simple. You don't have to have on makeup. You don't have to have on clothes if you don't want to. I mean, don't be naked because that's another show. But pajamas, whatever it is, pull out your phone, set up a tripod or prop it up old school style with some books. And I want you to document your activities. And I don't care how big or small they are. So if you are picking the kids up from school, if you're taking client calls, if you're responding to emails, if you're in and out of meetings, if you're cooking, if you're washing clothes, whatever it is, content is everywhere and it's all around you. So once you start to document, you start to what? Build your content bank. And nothing is too small. So once you start to get in the habit of casually recording what it is that you're doing, you will find yourself with a pool of content to select from when you're stuck, right? When you need to rely on yourself for your own inspiration. So once you do that, I want you to save that content to a Google Drive, store it. Make sure you add some notes and a date about what it was for organization purposes. And then I want you to release it. Set a schedule and release it episodically. And each time you release like a montage, kind of like a day in the life or whatever you did, I want you to share via a voiceover something that your audience can take away from it, right? So some type of tip within your niche. Maybe it's simply, whatever your day was like and what you learned that day. Like there's value in the transparency and unapologetic sharing. So I want you to start documenting every day so that you can make sure you're building your content bank. Okay. All right. So, of course, I want to hear from you. I want you to slide in my DMs because it goes down in my DMs. So I would love to hear from you. What is the number one thing you feel stuck with right now as it relates to your content creation and content marketing strategy? Slide in my DMs. That's at Kayla Riggins on Instagram, KALARIGGINS. And I would love to hear what you're stuck with and, of course, help you get unstuck, okay? Because that's what I'm here for. So, as usual, until next time, I want you to do the work that creates the content that never leaves your audience starving. Okay. No matter whether it's 10 a.m., 2 p.m., or 6 o'clock in the evening, it's always a good time for Content for Brunch. Now go on and serve it up. Content for Brunch, the podcast, now available on all platforms.